Hello and welcome to this lesson on Docker CLI commands. In this lesson, we'll be diving into the world of container management using Docker. You'll learn how to create, start, stop, and delete containers, and by the end of it, you'll be a pro at managing your containers. So let's get started and explore the power of Docker CLI. Now let's take a look at what we'll be covering in this lesson. Our learning objectives include understanding the basics of Docker CLI, learning how to create and manage containers, and applying these commands to real-world scenarios. We'll also be troubleshooting common issues with Docker containers. By the end of this lesson, you'll have a solid grasp of Docker CLI and be able to manage your containers with confidence. So, what is Docker CLI? It's a command line interface for managing Docker containers. With Docker CLI, you can create, start, stop, and delete containers and much more. It's an essential tool for anyone using Docker, whether you're a developer or a DevOps engineer. And the best part is that it's highly customizable and extensible, so you can tailor it to your needs. So why use Docker CLI? Well, it provides a fast and efficient way to manage containers. It's highly scalable, so you can handle large numbers of containers with ease. And with a wide range of commands at your disposal, you can manage your containers with precision. Plus, it's highly secure and provides robust access control, so you can rest assured that your containers are safe. And with a large community of users, you'll never be short of support or resources. Now let's take a look at how to create a container using the Docker run command. This command creates a new container from a Docker image, and you can specify the image name, container name, and other options. The Docker run command is highly customizable, so you can use it to create containers for development, testing, or production environments. Let's take a look at an example. We'll use the Docker run command to create a new container named myContainer from the Ubuntu image. Now let's take a look at how to start a container using the Docker start command. This command starts a stopped container, and you can specify the container name or ID. The Docker start command is used to restart a container after it's been stopped. You can use it to start multiple containers at once. Let's take a look at an example. We'll use the Docker start command to start the myContainer container. Now let's take a look at how to stop a container using the Docker stop command. This command stops a running container, and you can specify the container name or ID. The Docker stop command is used to stop a container after it's been started. You can use it to stop multiple containers at once. Let's take a look at an example. We use the Docker stop command to stop the myContainer container. Now let's take a look at how to delete a container using the Docker arm command. This command deletes a stopped container, and you can specify the container name or ID. The Docker arm command is used to delete a container after it's been stopped. You can use it to delete multiple containers at once. Let's take a look at an example. We'll use the Docker arm command to delete the myContainer container. Now let's take a look at some practical applications of Docker CLI commands. You can use them to create and manage containers for development, testing, or production environments. You can use them to automate tasks and workflows, and integrate with other tools and services. And you can use them to improve deployment efficiency and reduce downtime. Docker CLI commands are highly versatile, so you can use them in a variety of scenarios to streamline your workflow and improve your productivity. Now, let's take a look at some advanced patterns for using Docker CLI commands. You can use them to create complex workflows and pipelines and manage multiple containers and services. You can use them to integrate with other tools and services, such as Kubernetes or Jenkins. And you can use them to improve security and access control, and monitor and troubleshoot containers and services. Docker CLI commands are highly flexible, so you can use them to create custom workflows and solutions that meet your specific needs. Now let's take a look at some common mistakes to avoid when using Docker CLI commands. One common mistake is not stopping containers before deleting them. Another common mistake is not using the correct container name or ID. You should always use the correct syntax and options when using Docker CLI commands, and test and verify them before using them in production. And you should always monitor and troubleshoot your containers and services regularly to ensure they're running smoothly and efficiently. Now let's take a look at some debugging tips for Docker CLI commands. You can use the Docker logs command to view container logs, and the Docker inspect command to view container metadata. You can use the Docker execs command to run commands inside a container, and the Docker ps command to view running containers. And you can use the Docker system command to view system-wide information. These commands can help you troubleshoot issues and debug your containers and services. Now let's take a look at some best practices for using Docker CLI commands. You should always use the latest version of Docker CLI and use secure protocols and authentication mechanisms. You should always monitor and troubleshoot your containers and services regularly, and use automation tools and scripts to streamline your workflow. And you should always follow Docker CLI command syntax and options carefully to ensure you're using them correctly and efficiently. Now let's take a look at some optimization techniques for Docker CLI commands. You can optimize your Docker CLI commands by using caching and buffering, and by optimizing container resource usage. You can use Docker CLI commands to optimize network traffic and communication, and to optimize storage and disk usage. And you can use Docker CLI commands to optimize system-wide performance and efficiency. By optimizing your Docker CLI commands, you can improve the performance and efficiency of your containers and services. Now let's take a look at some real-world scenarios where Docker CLI commands can be used. You can use them to deploy and manage web applications, microservices, big data and analytics applications, and machine learning and AI applications. Docker CLI commands are highly versatile, so you can use them in a variety of scenarios to streamline your workflow and improve your productivity. And that's a wrap for this lesson on Docker CLI commands. We've covered the basics of Docker CLI commands and learned how to create start, stop, and delete containers. We've learned how to use Docker CLI commands to manage containers and services, and how to troubleshoot and debug them. And we've learned how to optimize Docker CLI commands for better performance and efficiency. I hope you found this lesson informative and helpful, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Now that you've completed this lesson, you can move on to the next lesson and continue to learn and improve your skills with Docker CLI commands. You can practice using Docker CLI commands to manage containers and services, and explore more advanced topics, such as Docker Compose and Kubernetes. You can use Docker CLI commands to deploy and manage real-world applications, and continue to learn and improve your skills with Docker CLI commands. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. If you're looking for more information and resources on Docker CLI commands and container management, you can find additional resources and documentation on the Docker website. You can find tutorials and guides on the Docker blog and community support and forums on the Docker forum. You can find Docker CLI command reference and syntax on the Docker documentation website, and more information and resources on Docker CLI commands and container management. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.